What if everything we thought about Fatima's power is completely wrong? What if she didn't control Smiley at all? What if, in that moment on the bus, she did something much darker, something far more dangerous? Because when you look closely at what really happened, it doesn't look like control. It looks like a trade. Smiley became human for a moment and Fatima started dying. And if that's true, then the biggest twist in From Season 4 isn't that Fatima has a power. It's that she may already be turning into one of them. Go back to that bus scene. Everybody watched it and came away with the same conclusion. Fatima can control Smiley. That's what everyone said. That's what the town believes. But if you slow it down and really look at it, the scene tells a completely different story. When Fatima reached into Smiley to save Kenny, Smiley didn't obey her. He didn't act like a monster following an order. He screamed. He changed. His whole body reacted like something was ripped out of him. And then for the first time, we saw him become human again. Even if it was only for a few seconds, that detail changes everything. Because monsters in From don't become human by choice. They don't lose control. They don't freeze because someone commands them. But Smiley did. Which means Fatima wasn't controlling him. She was taking something from him. And at that exact same time, Fatima's body started collapsing. That part matters more than people realize. Christy checked her vitals. 53/33. Heart rate of 19. That's not weak. That's dead. Those are numbers you expect from a corpse. But Fatima was still standing, still breathing, still talking. That shouldn't be possible. Unless her body isn't working like a normal human body anymore. Think about the connection between those two events. Smiley becomes more human. Fatima becomes less alive. That's not random. That's balance. One goes up. One goes down. And in From, balance always costs something. That's why I think the bus scene wasn't about control. It was about exchange. A direct trade between them. Smiley gave back part of his humanity. Fatima took back part of his curse. And suddenly the whole season starts making sense. Remember who Smiley is. He didn't just appear. He was born from Fatima. That connection was never normal. It wasn't symbolic. It was physical. Real. A bond between them stronger than anyone understood. People thought the pregnancy ended when Smiley was born. But what if it never ended? What if the cord between them is still there? Not visible, but active. A living connection. And when Fatima reached into him, she activated it. That's why Smiley changed. That's why she changed. Because if that cord is real, then whatever lives inside Smiley can move both ways. And that's terrifying. Because Smiley isn't just a monster. He's something ancient. Something cursed. Something connected to whatever created this town. So if Fatima pulled part of that into herself, what exactly is inside her now? Look at her symptoms. Dead vitals. Black veins. Her body shutting down but refusing to stop. That doesn't sound like sickness. That sounds like transformation. And here's the scariest part. Fatima already knows it. When she asked Christy if she was becoming one of those creatures, she wasn't guessing. She was connecting the dots. She remembers the autopsies. She knows those monsters used to be human. She knows what's under their skin. And now her own body is starting to look like theirs. That question wasn't fear. It was realization. Because deep down, Fatima understands something the others don't. She's not healing. She's changing. And Ellis? He refuses to see it. That clinic scene tells you everything. Fatima is staring directly at the truth. Ellis is trying to bury it. But in From, the things characters refuse to face are usually the things already happening. That's the pattern. And if that pattern holds, then Fatima isn't fighting this. She's already losing. But here's where it gets worse. Because if this really was a trade, if she took the monster out of Smiley, then where did Smiley's humanity go? And more importantly, what happens the next time she saves someone? That's the question nobody is asking yet. Because if Fatima saved Kenny by trading with Smiley, then this wasn't a one-time miracle. It was a system, a rule. And if it happened once, it can happen again. But every system in From has a price. And I think Fatima is paying it with her humanity. Look at what the bus scene really showed us. Smiley became human for a few seconds. That means the curse inside him weakened. It pulled back. But curses like this don't just vanish. They move. They transfer. Like energy changing shape. And Fatima became the new place for it to live. That changes everything. Because now her connection to Smiley isn't about control. It's about replacement. He was the monster. Now she's becoming the next one. Think about how cruel that is. Fatima saved Kenny, but the cost wasn't blood. It was identity. A piece of herself gone forever. And if that's true, then every time she reaches into one of those creatures, every time she tries to save someone again, she loses another piece. A little more life. A little more warmth. A little more humanity. Until there's nothing left. And suddenly, Fatima isn't the hero of this story. She's the countdown. This is what makes her so dangerous now. Not because she can hurt the monsters, but because she might be the only thing in town that can reverse them. Think about that. For years, everyone believed these creatures were permanent. Once human, now gone forever. No way back. That's the horror. That's what makes them terrifying. But Smiley changed back. Even if it was only for seconds. That means there is a way back. Fatima is the proof. And if she can do it once, maybe she can do it again. Not just to Smiley. To all of them. That means every monster in those woods might still have a person trapped inside. A person waiting to come back. That changes the entire story. Because, until now, survival meant killing or escaping. But now, it might mean saving. That's bigger than anything Boyd has ever planned. Boyd has spent seasons looking for ways out, breaking curses, following symbols, digging tunnels, hunting answers. But Fatima might be something else entirely. Not the key to escape. The key to undoing everything. Imagine it. One by one, she pulls the humanity back out of them, turns monsters into people, brings back the lost. That sounds hopeful. It sounds like a miracle. But there's a problem. The math doesn't work. There are dozens of creatures out there. Maybe more. And every save costs her something. So how many can she save before she's gone? 5? 10? 20? What happens when she reaches her limit? Does she die? Or does she fully become one of them? Because I don't think death is the end here. I think transformation is. That's the real horror. Fatima could spend her last human moments saving everyone, only to become the final monster standing. And the town would have to live with that. Ellis would have to live with that. That's why Ellis matters so much in this. His entire story this season has been about holding on to Fatima, protecting her, keeping her safe. But what happens when protecting her means stopping her from saving others? That's the trap. If she saves people, she dies. If Ellis stops her, people die. There is no good choice. That's exactly how From works. It traps people inside impossible choices. And this one might be the cruelest yet. Because Ellis doesn't just risk losing Fatima. He risks becoming the reason others die. Or worse, the reason Fatima loses herself. And there's something else here people keep ignoring. The creatures don't kill for survival. They kill with purpose. They talk. They smile. They remember. That means there's still something human in them. Fatima saw that. That's why her question in the clinic was so important. She wasn't asking if she was dying. She was asking if she was becoming one of them. Because if the monsters were once human, and she's becoming like them, then she's walking the same road. And if that road runs both ways, then maybe she can bring them back. But every road in From always has a trap at the end. And Fatima's trap may already be waiting. Because while everyone is focused on her body changing, nobody's asking what's happening to her mind. And if the monster part inside her keeps growing, what happens when it starts thinking too? That's the part nobody is ready for. Because changing bodies is one thing. But changing minds? That's where the real horror begins. And From has been warning us about this from the start. Every monster out there still remembers enough to play with people. They smile. They talk. They trick. That means whatever they become, they don't lose everything. They keep pieces of who they were. But those pieces are twisted, broken, turned into something cruel. So if Fatima is becoming one of them, then the question isn't just what she'll look like. It's what she'll think. What if every time she trades with Smiley, she doesn't just take the curse into her body? What if she takes part of him into her mind? His hunger, his instincts, his darkness. That would explain why she still feels him. Why the connection never feels gone. Because maybe it isn't. Maybe Smiley isn't on the other end of that cord anymore. Maybe part of him is already living inside her. And if that's true, then Fatima isn't just transforming. She's merging. That's even worse. Because it means the final version of her won't just be a creature. It'll be something new. Something stronger. Something smarter. A monster that remembers what it means to love. And that's terrifying. Because love might be the thing that makes her the most dangerous creature this town has ever seen.
Think about it.
The monsters hunt because it's their nature. But Fatima? If she changes, she'll still remember Ellis. She'll still remember Boyd. She'll remember the people she fought to protect. And what if that memory becomes pain? What if watching them suffer breaks what's left of her? That's how monsters are born in this place. Not from evil, from pain. That's what makes this theory fit so perfectly. Fatima isn't being punished because she failed. She's being punished because she cared. She reached into darkness to save someone. And the darkness reached back. That's how this town works. Every act of hope comes with a cost. Every rescue creates a new wound. And Fatima may be the biggest example of that yet. But here's where the story could twist one final time. What if becoming a monster isn't the end of her story? What if it's the beginning of the town's salvation? Because if Fatima fully transforms, she may gain what the others never had.
Choice.
The monsters we know follow patterns. They hunt at night. They obey rules. They stay trapped inside whatever system controls this place. But Fatima would be different. She was human first.
She chose to trade.
She chose to save. That means her transformation isn't the same as theirs. It's built on sacrifice. And sacrifice changes everything. What if she becomes the first creature who can fight back against the town itself? The first monster who remembers enough humanity to break the system from inside? That would make her both the curse and the cure. The very thing everyone fears, and the only thing that can save them. That's the kind of twist from Loves. Not simple good or evil. Both at once. And it would make Ellis the center of the final choice. Because if Fatima changes completely, Ellis may be the only one who can reach her. Or the only one who can kill her. And imagine that ending. The woman he loves standing in front of him, no longer human, but still carrying enough of herself to look at him. To remember him. To ask him for help. Or maybe to beg him to end it. That would destroy him. And it would break Boyd too. Because Boyd has spent all this time trying to protect his family, his people, his town. But what if saving everyone means sacrificing Fatima? That's the kind of decision this show builds toward. And all of it started on that bus. One touch. One trade. One moment everyone misunderstood. They thought Fatima controlled Smiley. But what if the truth is much darker? What if she didn't control him at all? What if she traded places with him? And right now, while everyone is trying to figure out how to escape this place, Fatima may already be becoming its next nightmare. Or its only hope. Maybe both. And that's what makes this so terrifying. Because in From, those two things are usually the same. So tell me what you think. Did Fatima save Kenny by trading her humanity? Is she becoming the next night creature? Or is she the cure the town has been waiting for all along? Because one way or another, the clock on Fatima is running out. If everything so far is true, then Fatima is no longer standing in the middle of a story. She's standing on a line that is slowly disappearing beneath her feet. One side is human. The other side is something the town has been hiding for centuries. And she is moving step by step, without anyone being able to stop it. Because the most dangerous part of this isn't that she is changing. It's that the change makes sense. Every time she saves someone, it feels right. It feels justified. It feels like hope. That's the trick. That's why no one in the town is reacting fast enough. Because if something looks like salvation, nobody questions the cost until it's already paid. And Fatima has already started paying. Smiley's reaction on the bus wasn't random. It wasn't confusion. It was loss. Like something was pulled out of him that he didn't know he could lose. That means whatever Fatima took wasn't just power or control. It was something deeper. Something foundational. Something tied to what he is. And if that piece can move from him to her, then the boundary between them doesn't exist anymore. That is the real horror. Not that Fatima is becoming a monster, but that the monster and Fatima are now part of the same system.
A loop.
A transfer that never stops. Smiley loses something. Fatima gains something. Fatima loses something. Something else in the town gains it. Which means nothing is ever destroyed here. It is only redistributed. And that is exactly how curses survive. They don't end. They move. This is why the town feels stuck in time. Why every escape plan feels incomplete. Why every victory feels temporary. Because no matter what they do, the system is still feeding on something living. And now it has Fatima. The worst part is that she is still conscious enough to see it happening. She is not being dragged blindly into it. She is watching it with awareness. That makes it slower, more painful, and far more tragic. Because awareness doesn't stop transformation. It only makes it clearer. And Ellis is the only person close enough to see what that clarity is doing to her. He sees her body weakening. He hears her questions. But he is still trying to hold on to the version of her that existed before this began. The problem is that version is already gone. Not physically. Not completely. But structurally. Something inside her has already shifted. And that creates the final trap. If Ellis accepts what she is becoming, he loses her. If he fights it, he risks pushing her faster into it. Either way, he cannot win. That's what this town does best. It doesn't just destroy people. It removes every correct option, and then makes them choose anyway. But there is still one detail that keeps everything unstable. Smiley became human, even if only for moments. That should not be possible. Unless monster is not a final form. Unless it is reversible. And if it is reversible, then Fatima is not just transforming into something new. She is becoming the proof that the entire curse can be undone. That means she is both evidence and experiment. Both symptom and solution. And that is why she cannot be allowed to stabilize. Because if she fully becomes one side or the other, the balance breaks. Either the monsters stay permanent, or they become reversible. And either outcome destroys the rules of this place. So the real question is no longer what is happening to Fatima. The real question is what this place will do to her next. Because nothing in From stays unfinished for long. Everything is pushed to completion. One way or another. And Fatima's story is already moving toward its final form. Whether that form is human monster or something the town has never seen before. And when it happens, there will be no middle ground left to stand on.